Alright, on today's video I'm going to set up a practice test for NOAA. It's going to be based on the International Society of Arboriculture tree climbing test. So what I'm going to do is go download their test, and what I'm going to do is on every segment, that's kind of how I'll set up the tree. And as I'm doing it, I'll explain what each section of the tree is going to be, like what you need to do and look for. And hopefully it helps people. We've got a lot of videos that are on different sections of this test, and they'll be on the link below. Also, there's going to be a section where you could see the tree worker test. You'd get it through the ISA website, and we'll put a link for that so you guys can see it. It's a free download, so you can see what the actual test looks like. So today we're going to work on that. Okay, so although I'm setting up this practice test for NOAA, there's other components to the test. So we're mostly going to work on the part when you're going to start timing. But prior to that, there would be a section where you would have to show them your gear. So you'd have to have all the required equipment. After that, there's going to be a time when they would ask you to inspect all your gear. Then the next section, there's going to be a section for on-rope rest. That's kind of like where you go to the tree and you tie a knot, your climbing knot, and then you put your feet on the tree, kind of like an L shape. You show that you can tie the right knot. Then after that, there's going to be a section where you have to tie the designated knots that they require on their test. So that's going to be kind of prior to the climb. The next step is probably when you're going to get to the tree. At that point, they're going to ask you to do a tree site inspection. So that's all prior. It's not going to be timed. This is all before you get the timing portion. So once you get to that part when they ask you for a tree site inspection, that's what you would do. You give them that, and then the next phase would be getting ready to throw in. Okay, so then your tree inspection would have already been done, and now you're getting to the point where you're getting ready to throw in. So then your evaluator is going to ask you if you have any questions, and that's the best time to ask anything you have on your mind. What they're going to tell you is that you got a 20-foot mark, so the ribbons will be marked. You've got 5 times to throw to make it in. If you can't do it in 5, your test is pretty much over. The good thing is that you can use a rope, and you can also use a throw bag if you need to. Good idea to have one with you. And it's good before you start to throw, you look at the whole tree, you look where it's at, and you make the best place to throw in for you. You know, everybody has things they do better. Have a walkthrough before you let the rope go out of your hand, because once the rope leaves your hand, that's when the time starts. Okay, so once you get your rope in the 20-foot mark, you'll have to body thrust up to that mark. Once you get there, the evaluator will call out to you to do a tree site inspection up in the air. Okay, now at that point, then you got to make your way up to the final tie-in, which is normally, it could be 30 to maybe 40 to 50 feet up in the air. You have 20 minutes to get to that tie-in point. If you can't make it in 20 minutes, you're pretty much, your test is over. You can throw as many times as you want. Once you're at that 20-foot mark, to get to that final tie-in, you can also lanyard and rope in to get to it if the tree allows it. After you got up to the final, the next step is going to be to go to the first hand touch. They'll point it out, and it actually will be marked. You're going to do your best to do it with balance. You don't want to have an uncontrolled swing. And that'll be the next one, the first hand touch. After you've done the first hand touch, now you're going to make your way to the opposite side of the tree, and you'll be doing the pole saw touch. So you'll have to call up for a pole saw, and they'll send it to you. You touch the flag with 2 hands, and then lower your saw back down. The next step after you've did the pole saw touch is the descent. And you can do it anywhere in the tree as long as you got enough rope. Got to do it safe, and you don't want to come down really quick because you don't want to burn your line. That'll mark against you. Okay, so now you're at the point when your time's going to get ready to start. They'll let you know that once the rope leaves your hand, the time is going to start. You have 5 tries to make it into that 20-foot mark. So you can use a rope if you like, and also a shot bag. So if I'm using a rope, I'll do my best to throw it in. So made it on the first try. It's perfect. Okay, so say that you did have a rope, you have a rope and you've thrown it a couple times. If you bring a shot bag, you can also use that instead, so just in case, if it's tough with the rope. So you can also use a shot bag to get it. Okay, so at this point, you already did your 20-foot mark. You got your rope tied and you're using the required knots. Now you're going to body thrust up to that 20-foot mark, or you could use a secure foot lock. It's kind of your choice. Okay, so now I hit the 20-foot mark, so I'm going to lanyard in. And what would normally happen is the judge would, or the evaluator would call out to you to now do your tree site inspection. So that's what you want to do. Name everything that you need to. All of the decay, hazards. If you see anything that's broken, you want to point it out. Let them know you don't see electrical lines. So anything that's going to cause harm to you and the tree. That's what you want to let them know. Okay, so I'm at the 20-foot mark. I've already done the tree site inspection. And now I'll have to go to the final tie-in. Now I have as many throws as I need to get there. There's no limit on it. And you can do it a few different ways. If the tree has multiple branches, you could lanyard in and rope in all the way up. You do have to make sure that you don't disconnect. You have to have 3 points of connection at all times. That means either a lanyard or your climbing line. If you disconnect both, you're going to be DQ'd. So from here, I'll see if I can make it to that throw in, which is about 5 feet above my head. I'll leave my clip because it's not really that high. Make sure I got plenty of slack so it don't come back at me. All right. So made it in. Okay. Now proceed up. It's important that you don't let your climbing line, the part that's closest to you, go below your knees. That would be too high of a drop. Okay, so the next one may be a little bit more than 5 feet higher than my head. So I'm just gonna disconnect my line and I'll prepare to throw it above my head. Okay. Okay, all right, cool. So when you're working on your final, you want to make sure that you go over the thickest part of the branch. You don't want to go over the smaller one. Okay, cool. So I've made it. Now I'm going to go over the fatter part. Now I got to retie. And make sure whatever you retie is the proper knot. Make sure you're set. Okay. There. All right, now I'm ready. Okay, so now I'm going to continue going to the final tie-in, and I have to get there within 20 minutes after that rope left my line. So I've got my rope up there. Now I got to go up there and lanyard in and touch it. Okay. All right, now I've reached the final tie-in. So as long as I've done it within 20 minutes, touch the flag, and I'm in. I wanted to make sure if there was a different setup, like if it was a big trunk and there were some small branches, I want to go over the center leader, make sure I go over the bigger branch. If there is a choice of two, you want to get the better choice. Okay, so now I've already touched the final tie-in, and I'm going to work my way to the next section. It's the first hand touch, so that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so now I've reached the limb that they flagged to walk on, and I've got to go to that pink ribbon. So now I'm going to attempt to walk over there. So this is where I reach, and then I'm going to lanyard in so I can touch the flag. I want to do it on a branch that's large enough to hold my weight if I were to happen to fall off the limb. Okay, got the lanyard on. Now I can stand. Oops. Okay, I can lean over. I touch the flag. Now I'll just take the lanyard off. You want to reconnect your lanyard, you don't want it dangling. Now I could start to proceed back. Okay, so I've already touched the first hand touch. Now I'm going to make my way to the pole saw touch, which is the last station. Okay, now I've got to the next station, the pole saw touch. If I get to the point where I feel that I can touch it with a pole saw, that's where I need to go and lanyard in. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is call out to the evaluator on the ground that I need my pole saw. I'll call to them, and then they're going to send it up to me. I'm going to bring it up, and I'll have to set it on a branch with the blade facing away from me. Once I get it set there, I'm going to go around, I'm going to touch the flag, and once I touch the flag, I'm going to set it back in the tree. I'm going to pull my rope back up, I'm going to tie it and send it back down, and then I'll go to the next step. Pole saw, please.
All clear?
I'm going to bring the saw up. So once I get it up to the top here, I'm going to untie it. Okay, I'm going to put it in the tree facing away from me. Well, I'm already lanyarded in, so actually I can go ahead and hit the flag. It should be with two hands. Touch the flag, you'll hear an all clear. I'm going to go ahead and put the saw back up in the tree and facing away from me where it's not going to fall. I'm going to bring my rope back up. Use an approved knot like a clove hitch. Make sure it's snug. I'm going to lower it down. You don't want to drop it. There it goes. So now I've already touched the pole saw flag. The next step is the descent. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the end of my rope and I'm going to pull it up to show a bite of line that touches the ground. A bite of line will show that I have enough length to make it to the ground if I decided if I wanted to descend from here. So I've got this loop in my line. Now let's say I've got enough rope to descend to the ground. So I want to make sure that the end of my line has a figure-8 knot, because if I decided to descend and I were to run out of rope, this is important to have too. It could have already been in the line, but if I didn't have it before I go down, I want to make sure I got a figure-8. Cool. So then the next step will be the descent. Now I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do the descent. Like I said, I do have enough rope, so if I wanted to go between a crotch right here and just lower myself down, I could. Or I could choose to walk back to my original main tie-in and walk down the tree, and that's kind of what I'm planning on doing. So tension my line up, disconnect my lanyard. Always make sure to connect your lanyard back to your belt. You don't want it to be floating around and where you could maybe hit something. You always want it to be where it's controlled. So okay, so you want to make sure as you're coming down, you don't want to go with a lot of speed. You want to do it really slow. You don't want to burn your line, and you want to be in control all the way down. Now the time's gonna stop once you touch the ground. Now you have 30 minutes to complete the tire test. From the time that the rope leaves your hand, it starts then. You have that 20-foot mark at the final tie-in. You got to make it within 20 minutes. And the entire test is a 30-minute test. You do it within that time and you do everything in the correct way, there's a good chance you can pass. Okay, so we set up this ISA practice test on our own. We downloaded the test through the ISA website. Good way to practice if you're looking to try to pass the International Society of Arboriculture Tree Worker exam. Also, I wanted to mention that all the videos that we've been creating about intro to tree climbing that we've been doing, they do fall in line with all the knots and the way the ISA would like people to, that are recognized by the ISA. So we do have a tree site inspection, a gear inspection. We also have tree climbing knots. Pretty much all of the things that we're going through on this test, leading up to this test, we have videos on. So we are going to put them on our site. Also, there's going to be a link to the ISA test where you can download their PDF file. Wanted to say that if you guys like what we do, give us a like, and hopefully you guys subscribe. So if you do like what we do, you guys can see more of it. The next video we're going to work on will be Noah doing a practice run of the practice ISA test for the tree worker. Take care.